The wildly successful series Downton Abbey ran from 2010 to 2015, and saw a feature film version come to life in 2019. And now, fans are waiting excitedly for Downton Abbey 2 to drop in 2022. But for some fans, something's been missing all along: more sex. So stay tuned and don't go anywhere, because a star of Downton Abbey 2 explains why it can never be sexed up like Bridgerton, and other related news. First up, is holding hands really considered foreplay in Downton Abbey? Let's take a look. Downton Abbey: A New Era, aka Downton Abbey 2, is currently dropping in cinemas, and it's going to take fans on an incredible adventure to the south of France. But some fans are describing Downton Abbey as a sexless marriage when compared to its Bridgerton counterpart, and that's something that at least some fans would like to see changed. However, Downton Abbey stars Allen Leech, Michael Fox, and Joanne Froggatt, and Sophie McShera don't think the franchise would ever include any racy scenes like the ones seen in Bridgerton. Allen Leech, who plays Tom Branson, said, "I mean, holding hands is foreplay in Downton, so I don't know how far we could go. You could also shock most of our demographic to heart attacks. We can't give them too much." But according to actor Michael Fox, who plays Andrew Parker, a recent costume update has already made the show less conservative and a little steamier. Fox said, "I think they have sexed it up. I think you'll find Andros in a tank top. In all honesty though, it's gonna take a little more than a tank top to steam things up to Bridgerton's level." Emmy-nominated actor Joanne Froggatt also plays Anne Bates, and she said, "Anna has a new black dress, and that's all I'm saying. Pushing the boundaries." But speaking of Bridgerton, next up, what happened to Bridgerton star Charithra Chandran on a recent bus ride? You're about to find out. Charithra's career has essentially soared since playing Edwina Sharma on Netflix's smash hit series Bridgerton. And even while riding a bus, Charithra can't escape the insane popularity of the celebrated period drama. As she sat on the bus, Charithra spotted somebody getting their fix and watching Bridgerton while on the go. Charithra wore a COVID safety covering on her face while riding the bus, and updated her Instagram story to let people know about the passenger who just couldn't help but watch Bridgerton. Charithra has more than 750,000 followers on Instagram, and wrote to them saying, "The woman in front of me is watching Bridgerton on her phone. Ayy." In a subsequent post to her Instagram story, Charithra pulled her face mask down and revealed a gorgeous face of makeup, complete with stunning application of very bold and sexy eyeshadow. It looks great. Charithra put a lot of pressure on herself to do a good job on the Bridgerton series, and says that she doesn't want to mess things up for future Indian actors by giving terrible performances. It's so sweet that she feels a tremendous sense of responsibility. And if there's one thing we could say, Charithra, it would be that you don't need to worry. You're doing an outstanding job. Up next, which Bridgerton star was told to stay in the closet in order to succeed? You're about to find out. You might recognize actor Golda Rosheuvel from her breakout role in Bridgerton, but as she was working her way up through the industry, she was being advised to step back into the closet and essentially hide the fact that she's a lesbian. For Rosheuvel, she's always proudly and openly lived life as a lesbian woman. This piece of advice came as quite a shock, but it was a source of advice that was even more surprising. It came from an unidentified lesbian director who told Rosheuvel that if she wanted to be successful in Hollywood, she'd be better off keeping her sexual identity a secret. In a recent interview, Rosheuvel said, "We're talking about being out and proud and representation, and whether I should say I was gay in interviews, and it was an absolute no. I would rather lose a job than not be true to who I am. I'd rather not work in an industry that doesn't accept me. It just wasn't how I was raised." Rosheuvel was really confused by the director's comments, and to be perfectly honest, so are we. It's public knowledge in the industry that Rosheuvel has been in a loving relationship with playwright Shireen Moolah for nearly 10 years. So I mean, the cat's out of the bag. The closet, if you will. For some time now, anyways. Stay tuned and don't go anywhere, because we're about to bring you the latest Downton Abbey and Bridgerton news. Next up, how does the first Downton Abbey film differ from the second? You're gonna find out. Downton Abbey: A New Era hits theaters on May 20th, 2022, and one critic who was privy to an advanced screening said that for about an hour and 20 minutes, it functions as a wistful return to familiar sights, sounds, and people, moving between scenes with a sense of lightness and musicality, and providing non-stop laughs until the story wraps up with a neat and comforting bow. It then inexplicably continues for another 40 hours past that point, pivoting unpredictably into some of the most jaw-dropping tonal whiplash the saga has ever seen. The first film, titled Downton Abbey from 2019, shows the king and his family visiting a sprawling estate, and they see a house staff eager to serve them at their beck and call. The film ends with Tom Branson, played by Allen Leech, who was once a staunch Irish socialist, marrying into the Crawley family after years of being treated poorly as their chauffeur, saving the king's life, and ultimately ensuring the continuation of the royal bloodline. Downton Abbey: A New Era continues the storyline, but with much greater enthusiasm and vigor. In the sequel film, the Abbey pretty much stays the same way as it always did, leasing farmland to poor workers and hosting black tie events. But after the cheery opening at the wedding, the plot kicks into high gear with two unrelated events that split the characters into two sides. Up next, is Bridgerton still Netflix's #1 show? Let's take a look. Bridgerton ratings have slumped slightly, but it's still the hottest show on Netflix and the reigning king at the top of the Netflix charts. The new challenger, Better Call Saul, streamed for 915 million hours between April 4th and April 10th, but it's still far behind Bridgerton, which ranked in 1.621 billion hours viewed for the same period. Bridgerton and Better Call Saul were followed by The Ultimatum, Marry or Move On, which had 838 million hours viewed. And also, Heartland with 793 million viewed hours, Cocomelon at 771 million hours viewed, and NCIS with 674 million hours viewed. Clearly, still one of the most popular police procedurals. Oh, and Criminal Minds have more than 538 million hours streamed. In late April, during 1 week alone, Season 2 of Bridgerton clocked 66.61 million hours viewed and appeared on Netflix's top 10 list. And get this, 88 countries around the world it appeared on Netflix's top 10 list. The series is produced by Shonda Rhimes' Shondaland and was created by Chris Van Dusen. But these rankings could be in for a shift, as some fans are reportedly unhappy with Bridgerton's decision to be a more family-friendly one and tone the steaminess down a bit. One critic who watched Season 2 said, Bridgerton Season 2 tries hard to please everyone, but ends up feeling watered down. Gone is the sexiness in favor of more of a chaste series that almost everyone can watch together. Simone Ashley is a gem this season, but there's never enough chemistry between her and Bailey to get a fire started. Next up, is Downton Abbey a true story? Let's find out. There's been a lot of questions from fans lately as to whether or not Downton Abbey is a true story. So we did some digging, and here's what we got. Downton Abbey is a period piece that follows the luxurious lives of the Crawley family. The Crawley family are fictional aristocrats, so the show is not entirely based on any specific true story per se, but nevertheless, it's still meant to be as historically accurate as possible. For instance, the castle the Crawley family lives in on the show is real. It's a real, sprawling estate in the United Kingdom, and it's known to locals as the Highclere Castle. In real life, the Earl and Countess of Carnarvon live at the castle, and it's been in their family for over 3 centuries. Lady Fiona met her husband, the Earl of Carnarvon, known as Geordie, in 1996, and today the couple has a 23-year-old son together named Edward. Lady Grantham, a character in the series, is based on the real-life Lady Almina, who's the great-grandmother of the Earl of Carnarvon. Apparently, Lady Almina is the one responsible for turning Highclere Castle into a more modern space. And another real-life castle featured in the show is the Inverary Castle, which is home to the Duke and Duchess of Argyll. If you ever have the opportunity to visit the rolling hills of Scotland, you can catch a glimpse of the Inverary Castle. It's been there for a long time, and it ain't going anywhere. So, although it's not a true story, there are aspects of Downton Abbey that are certainly real. And that's a wrap for today's video. Thanks for watching.